Welcome to the Nebraska Prep Zone podcast. I'm Stu Pospisil, Mike Patterson right next to me. Happy New Year to all of you, and it's been a kind of an interesting start to January, hasn't it, Mike?
Well, we made it through the holiday tournament, Stu, and kind of moving on from there, and we've already had some interesting games, as you said, but it's been a while since we've done one of these podcasts, so we'll need to get caught up and see what our ratings look like now.
We'll see what our rhythm's like here, but you know, my ratings, I know I'm going to have one new number one next week in all probability, because on Tuesday night, last night, as we shoot this, Platteview defeated Class C1 number one Ashland Greenwood 60-52, snapping a 32-game winning streak for the Jays. But
wow,
and 32 was kind of the magic number, because that's what Connor Milliken had last night as well for the Trojans, and now he's among the top 10 all-time scorers in the state. Next couple weeks he could really move up that ladder. I was looking today, if they get the maximum 17 games down the stretch, he'd have to average about 31.5 points to take down Bill Holliday's hallowed state scoring record that's lasted since 1960. So,
wow.
But if anybody's got a chance, it's going to be him.
That would be impressive if he can do that, or even come close to that.
How many games did you see of Holliday's?
What's that?
How many games did you see of Bill's in 1960? Because I wasn't born yet.
No,
3 or 4. Okay.
Actually, that's how old I was 3 or 4. So, yeah. But talk about a long-standing record.
Yeah.
That's one of those where, kind of like the girls' record, you just don't think it's ever going to be broken. So.
Yeah, Darcy Strackey's 27-52. Boy, that's going to take somebody starting out hot as a freshman, like Connor Milliken did.
Well, like Taylor McCabe did at Fremont. I mean, she got close last year, but still not close enough.
No.
So Strackey's record continues on.
Well, that's, that's going on 40 years old.
Right.
I saw her 52-point game.
I'm trying to remember, was that before the three-point?
No, she had the three-pointer.
Okay.
This was mid-90s.
Okay.
So, anyway, Mike, why don't you go through your girls' ratings, top 10s, and number ones?
All right. Well, we mentioned the holiday tournament, Stu, and the Metro Holiday Tournament. Bellevue West prevailed, and the Thunderbirds have been rewarded. They're kind of the Minnesota Vikings of the girls' basketball set. They've played a lot of close games, but they win them. So their last 3 games, the scores have been 55-53, 57-54.
I saw that one.
Last night, 39-37. So they're just kind of squeezing by. But, man, they've got a really tough game tomorrow night against Millard South. At Millard South, the Patriots don't lose at home very often.
What is their winning streak? Did I read 58?
I think it's 54.
54, okay.
50-something, but yeah, they don't lose at home. They don't lose at all very often.
Mm-hmm.
They hardly ever lose at home, so that'll be the big game tomorrow night.
I know where you'll be.
That's right. They're overall number 1 in the top 10. Number 2 is Omaha Skutt, our Class B number 1. The Skyhawks 12-1. Their only loss came in the Nike Tournament of Champions down in Phoenix. Elkhorn North, number 3. Their only loss was to Skutt. Mm-hmm. Early season, their second game of the season. The Wolves are 11-1. Number 4, Millard South. We mentioned them a minute ago. Coach Bryce Meyer's squad, another great team, and we'll see what the Patriots can do. That'll be tomorrow night's game will be a rematch of the Metro Holiday Tournament final that Bellevue West squeezed out on their home court. Mm-hmm. Patriots will be playing at home tomorrow night. Number 5, Millard North. Number 6, Bellevue East. Number 7, we start getting into the Lincoln schools. Number 7, Lincoln High. Number 8, Millard West. Number 9, Lincoln Pius X, and number 10, Lincoln Northeast. The Rockets are 9-4. They haven't been in that top 10 in a while, but they're off to a nice start. So let's look at our number 1s in all the classes. Number 1 in A is Bellevue West. Number 1 in B is Skutt. Number 1 in C1, here we go, Bridgeport.
Okay.
Still undefeated. They had a really nice win over Malcolm out at the girls basketball showcase at Kearney High over the weekend. Bridgeport's still undefeated. Fremont Bergen, number 1 in C2. They're 11-0. Maywood Hayes Center, number 1 in D1. And Shelton, number 1 in Class D2. So Not a lot of movement from last week's ratings as far as those top teams, but something's got to give tomorrow night in Class A when Bellevue West plays Millard South.
You know, that's interesting. Maywood Hayes Center, we have them number 1 in the boys as well.
That's a good athletic program when you can say that.
Well, and you know, that was 2 towns, 2 schools that some good tradition, but they've come together, and it looks like they've got a good cycle of boy and girl athletes out there right now. But
sometimes when those teams come together, and you know this, Stu, the team chemistry isn't quite there. Obviously, it's working for them, both boys and girls.
Certainly looks like it. In the boys, undefeated Bellevue West just keeps rolling along. I think the closest game now is 18 points on their season, 12-0. They've kind of gone through a little bit of a gauntlet early. They get some games where they're going to be expected to win and perhaps turn on the 40-point clock. But, you know, you get that during the course of a year. Omaha Creighton Prep's number 2. They were the Metro runner-up to Bellevue West. Good run for them. Avenged a loss to Gretna. So that's why they're ahead of Gretna, even though they have 4 losses to Gretna's 1. Speaking of the Dragons, big game Thursday night. West Side goes to Gretna. The schools have a good history now. So
yeah, I was at that game last year.
Yes, you were. Just
only a few months after the football final, and of course, again the football final this year. So
yep,
you'll be back out there this year.
I will be there. No wrestling to get in the way. 2-time defending champion Millard North, number 5. A couple losses for the Mustangs. They're going to take on one of the Lincoln teams this week, and we got cluster of 4. Lincoln's basketball is better than it has been, I think, in several years. You've got Lincoln High at number 6, won the Heartland tourney, like the girls did. Lincoln East is 7th. Lincoln Southwest is 8th. Lincoln North Star 9th. And honestly, you could Southeast, Northeast, and what's the one I'm leaving now? Oh, Pius. All of them have legitimate thinking that they're at least among the top 15 in the state, if not the top 10. So I think you're going to see, at least in my ratings, the lower half of the top 10, kind of a revolving door as teams maybe get a little hot or maybe hit a little cold spell.
Kind of selfishly thinking here, Stu, but if some of those Lincoln teams that you mentioned made it to state, that means their bands are going to get to state. Most of those schools have great bands, so I'd be looking forward to hearing them, but you know, we'll see how it plays out.
You know what, and I will drop a email to every one of those schools that gets in with a special request just for you.
Yeah.
We'll see how many different versions of Sweet Caroline can be heard at the state basketball tourneys if those schools get in.
Since every band knows that one song along with their fight song, I have a feeling we'll be hearing it quite a bit again this season.
A couple generations back, it was like On Broadway. Everybody knew On Broadway, but now it's Sweet Caroline. It just makes your skin kind of itch, doesn't it?
Makes my skin do something.
Stand on end. Anyway, Bellevue West, as we said, is number 1 overall and in Class A. Omaha Scott undefeated. Leads Class B. Platteview also undefeated. They will not meet in the regular season, so that looks like that might be the state final potentially. In C1, with Ashland falling, Ogallala and Pierce are also undefeated. One of those may move up depending on results this week. Number 4, Wahoo, good game Friday night in store at Platteview. C1, Fremont is number 1, Donovan Trumbull number 2, 2 solid teams. Summerlin, the other undefeated in that class, is number 9, largely because of schedule. Class D1, Maywood Hayes Center leads it. North Platte St. Pat's, defending champion, is sitting at number 2. And in D2, Lincoln Parkview, defending champion, is still at number 1. They can meet Fremont in the Medekas final on Saturday night, and undefeated Why Not is sitting 2nd.
I thought you showed great wisdom in the ratings this week. Roncalli lost a couple of times and you moved him up a spot. So,
well, that's part of the way Class B is going to roll this year. It's like A. You have to look at how the losses are, and you know how that goes.
True.
So,
Defending Class B.
Well, and Bainton lost by double digits to Platteview and didn't drop because of how other teams are faring. So good game coming up Friday night, 2B. Number 7 York goes to number 5 Crete. Two teams looking to get back into state with good records, and both of them were kind of down last year, but moving up this year.
It's kind of an interesting dynamic on top of Class B there, Scott and Platteview.
How so?
Just having such great seasons this year. You know, who knows, maybe
Well, and they're different types of teams. Like Plattview's guard-oriented, and Scott is like the Forest. They go 6'9", 6'9", 6'8", 6'6". You know, that's really good height for Class B, and they're trying to play at least 2 on the court at once, sometimes 3. But on the other side, then you have to put one of your bigs on a smaller, quicker guard on the other team. So
I'm sure the Skyhawks are somewhat motivated after the Class B final last year when they fell to the Crimson Pride. So we shall see how that plays out.
Make sure you send your alumni donation this year.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for this week's Nebraska Prep Zone podcast. For Mike Patterson, I'm Stu Pospisil. We'll see you next time.